The first texture we're going to talk about is using stamps to put texture in your metal. We're going to talk about design stamps. You'll notice these stamps have a design on the top of it. I have a squiggle here. Here I have an arrow design. What you want to make sure is that you do not use stamps that are this brighter silver. This we do not want to use. This stamp is for leather, okay? So we're only going to use these darker metal or steel stamps. So I'm going to go ahead and use my rawhide mallet. Now here on the table, I'm putting two different rawhide mallets. This one is good for small things, but it's not very heavy. I'm going to want to use this rawhide mallet today. You see how it has a green handle? That means it's weighted here on the top, so it's going to give you a little bit more weight to stamp into your metal. This is my steel block. I must texture on a steel block. So here is my steel block, and I'm going to take my copper and set my copper on my block. Now I want to make sure I hold my stamp nice and strong about halfway down. You want to make sure if you're holding something, you want to have good balance. So we don't want to be holding it way up here on the top, and we don't want to hold it way down at the bottom. We want to have that center of balance in the middle. So I'm going to take my stamp, set it on my metal, and I'm going to take my rawhide mallet, and that's a little bit noisy. And I've started to create texture on my metal with my stamps. I'm going to keep doing that until I fill the whole piece of metal. Okay, you can see here I've done a couple of rows of metal with that same stamp. So I've applied surface texture using stamps. If I want to try a different stamp, go ahead and try it. I'll do another row of a different stamp. Okay, I've added another stamp to my copper, and I made kind of a nice pattern. Remember, you can alternate these stamps any way that you want to create the pattern that you want on your metal. Okay, now I want to talk to you about letter stamps. Letter stamps are stamps that you can use to add words to your jewelry project. We don't do this very often, but sometimes you might want to add a word, or you can even use a letter repetitively to get a good texture on your metal. So I'm going to go ahead and use my jewelry stamps, my letter stamps, to write a word. I'm going to take the letter E. Okay, you might notice that my letters are a little bit crooked. If I want to make sure that my letters are straight, I'm going to use masking tape. So you can see here, there's a little bit of uneven line quality to my metal. I'm going to take some masking tape, stick it on the surface of my metal, and now I'll use that as my guideline. I went off a little bit. Okay, Now we can use ball peen hammers. We can use this to put a hammered texture on our metal. All you need to do is take the hammer and pound on your metal. You can see how the light reflects differently off of this textured surfaces.